Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Tainted Lands Mist of Mournton. I am the Dungeon Master for this game. My name is RJ Cresswell and we're going to meet everyone else in just a few minutes. But first, during last week's session, your characters returned to the part of the woods where Hazel Mossfoot lives. But when you entered her clearing, you saw that the entrance to her burrow home, which is a hollow dead tree, was replaced by a large and living oak. Then you heard her voice surrounding you in the forest, and she demanded a blood price be paid for stealing from her, or else the party would never see Toby again. After returning the black metal sphere etched with sigils that Wallace had taken, and after delivering the coin you recovered from the barrow for her, a stone and a knife appeared in the clearing. She instructed the thief to step forward and spill blood upon the stone. Despite Sir Kay trying to make the sacrifice, Wallace confessed and did as commanded. He paid the blood price, and the stone became a burial mound while the knife became a shovel in his hand. Hazel told Wallace that he had to dig alone, and that he did, digging into the cold, frozen ground to the point of collapse. But he managed to unearth Toby's casket before collapsing. Toby's eyes were closed, his face was pale, and his lips were blue. But he sat up, opened his eyes, and gasped for air once the lid of his casket was opened. Hazel kept her word and told the party about Lessig and how to find him in a tower under a sky filled with strange stars. The party followed Hazel's directions and traveled through the treacherous woods until nightfall, whereupon you decided to rest. The night had passed without incident until the pre-dawn hours when Wynne was keeping watch. She found herself under attack by the eyeless things from the woods. But she held her ground until the party awoke and joined her. The eyeless quickly fell, and you could hear others like them howling in the woods, but none revealed themselves. After the skirmish, the party broke camp and followed the trail until you could see the tower in the distance. Wynne scouted ahead, in the form of a wolf, and discovered that even though it was daylight, the tower stood under a night sky filled with constellations she did not recognize. She returned and told the party, and everyone trekked toward the tower and crossed the threshold where day became night. After some time spent looking around, you approached the old tower, and a figure standing on the roof cast a magic spell that struck Sir Kay and staggered him. Wynne and Wallace cast their own spells at the figure as Toby destroyed the door of the tower with a spell of his own. Most of the party advanced up the stairs of the tower, but Junie attempted to scale the outer walls of the tower. Everyone who had climbed the stairs found a figure in a room near the top of the tower. Its limbs were elongated. Its flesh was purple and swollen and blotchy. Its eyes were bizarre and red. It didn't have a discernible mouth or nose, but rather four tentacles that reached out toward Wynne as she entered the room. Violence ensued, with the figure attacking Wynne from across the room with its mine. It also attempted to dominate Sir Kay, but he shrugged it off, as the figure was suggesting that he destroy his allies once again. And ultimately Sir Kay struck his blade through the figure, driving it through the wall and plummeting along with it 5 stories to the ground below. That's where we left off, with everyone staring at Sir Kay on the ground, sorely injured, and the figure making a strange, gurgled noise before coughing up ichor and dying upon the cold, hard ground. Before we go any further, take a moment to introduce yourselves, tell us who you're playing, and I'm sure your character would rather be anywhere but here. What is the place your character would like to be, and why would you choose to be in that place? Alright, let's see. Jess, let's start with you.
Alright, I play Wynne, the high elf druid barbarian, and she really wishes that Sir Kay had led her to some nice little quaint, quiet, peaceful village where she could have set up a little cottage and herbalist shop. But she'd even rather be back home with her parents, pressuring her to give up her plants and do work on her arcane studies than be here, to be honest, at this moment.
Okay. All right. Lewis.
So I play Wallace, who's the Hill Dwarf cleric. He he's always been a bit of a wanderer. He would I would say at this moment in time he's missing home quite a lot. In particular, his monastery. It was quite a peaceful place for him where he spent a lot of time kind of like thinking about things, and he's not really had a lot of time to do that or reflect or even just kind of be with his own thoughts as everyone's been so chaotic. So probably back at the Monastery of the White Moth.
Okay. Shondell.
I play Junie, the half wood elf fighter, and one of her all-time favorite places is just up in a tree, swinging in a hammock. The higher the tree, the denser the forest, what word am I looking for? The windier it is up there, and just swaying in her hammock. That's one of her. That's where she'd like to be.
Okay. All right. Narek.
I play Sir Kay, who is currently sort of feeling very sore after Captain America-ing his way out of a tower. Also, I'm really feeling that shade from the wind side of the digital table. So thanks for that. I'd like to point out you found him unconscious on the road, so it's not exactly his fault. But I think the closest to home he would have memory of. That's a tough one. He'd probably just. This is gonna sound real weird, but despite everything that's been revealed so far, I think he'd just want to go back to hanging out with Nissa, doing what they were doing, which I can't talk about. His backstory.
Okay.
And yeah, I think part of him still misses that, despite the revelation that much of that time may have been the product of magic rather than chemistry.
All right. Kristen.
Hello, I will be playing Toby, the rock gnome warlock. He would much rather be in his workshop pre-destruction days and just trying to create and work with his hands and getting little rat visitors and having like his snacks off to the side and letting them partake of it as well. But just in his workshop, solitude is where he would love to be right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for sharing that. Unfortunately, none of your characters are there.
Hey, rude.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you are where you are. Now, I'm assuming your party would have rushed to Sir Kay's aid. So you're standing near him, and you see that he's seriously injured but not dead. The figure you fought with is, though. You watched it clutch at its chest where Sir Kay drove his sword through, and you saw it gasping and gurgling and coughing up ichor before dying. Looking at it now, its dead form is monstrous and unlike anything you've seen in your waking hours. Whatever this is, if it was a person once, it is no more. It lies on the ground in a pool of ichor. Upon its body is a robe that resembles the strange night sky above. Encircling the front of the neck of the robe are 4 bright stars, bursting with light. As you look upon the dead and monstrous thing, Sir Kay groans in pain, and you notice that the eyeless have encircled the tower and the darkness at the edge of your vision. Whereas you know them to howl and yelp and hoot, they currently stand still, silent as the grave. What do you do?
Oh.
This It seems to be quite the occurrence, isn't it, Sir Kay?
We'll talk about it later. We have visitors.
I'm going to cast Cure Wounds on him.
Okay.
So that's a D8.
Plus your wisdom.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 5 points.
Thank you. Good enough.
And that's me. Got hardly any spell slots left.
That's fine. I got myself covered for the rest. I'm gonna dump 8 points of lay on hands into myself, so I have 2 points left. Confirm. And I'm going to suggest someone take that robe. It looks like it might be useful.
I'm already stripping. Let's say at this point. I'm already like, taking the robe off. I'm gonna cut off his head and I'm gonna like hold it up to the eyeless people, and I'm gonna see what they do. Wait, how many is there actually? Well, no, I'm still gonna do it. But how many is there?
Do it without me.
There are. I'm gonna tell you countless, but I don't mean like you're staring at an army. I mean, You see them encircling all around at the edge of your vision, and you're not sure, if there are more, behind them in trees or in darkness or what have you. Now, when you take the monster's head, what are you trying to do as you present it to the eyeless? What effect are you trying to have?
Or try to intimidate them, kind of just be like, this is your leader. We can do that and think about what we'll do to you.
Okay. All right. Now, I want you to give me a roll for intimidation.
Okay. 14.
What was that?
14.
Okay. All right. So, you take the thing's head and you just kind of step forward and lift it up, present it to the figure standing in the darkness. And whereas
I have like echo on my face and stuff. Like,
all right, it tastes disgusting. It drains onto your face, gets in your mouth, your nose, drips down the front of your robes. All right, or your vestments. And as you present it, you hear that same familiar noise of the yelping and howling, but they don't move. You hear kind of like one voice or vocalization, kind of like sound above the rest of them, and it sounds more like just this guttural kind of grunt. And then from somewhere deeper in the darkness, you hear the sounds of like a scream. It sounds like like a man screaming. And after a bit, you can make out words. No, please. And as you do that, you see kind of like from near you, not from near you, but in front of you, and I'm talking to Wallace right now, from the darkness, a kind of larger one of these figures steps forward. And you see that he's holding a man, and he's got kind of like a blade to its throat. And he kind of comes forward quickly with the blade across the neck. Just kind of like arterial spray. Gurgles. Drops the man to the ground. And then it begins kind of a chant that is unintelligible to you. And a few of the other eyeless kind of like join in with it. And then all of the eyeless that you can see begin in this same chant, not moving from their current positions. And then you hear more screams from within the darkness. But you see no more presented forward. No more people presented forward toward you.
Okay, so another like mind flayer essentially? Was this like another kind of tentacly kind of guy that slit someone's throat?
No. This looked more like the eyeless, but
Oh, just like a okay. I don't really know what to make of that. But fair enough. Like, I'm gonna. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of like look back to everyone else and see what they're doing.
all right.
I'm just standing there like, oh, weird flex, but okay, kind of face look on my face.
Yeah, like,
Because I don't really know what the point of slitting a man's throat was in front of us, besides just to be intimidating. I'm going to suggest we might want to back our way up the tower, because I feel like this isn't quite over yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
A horror movie, but you go up, you die. Run up the stairs, you die.
Well, I'd like to get away from this place.
Well, I know.
Well, right now we're surrounded, so I figure up might be the only way. Unless we feel like fighting our way through them.
Right.
Not
And
really.
let me make sure I have this correct from last time, and sorry to interrupt your conversation there, but Wallace's perception is 18, is that correct?
Yeah, passive perception 18. Yeah.
Okay, so as Wallace is kind of like confused about this, and the chanting goes on, and Sir Kay and others are talking about going up into the tower, or Sean or Junie is countering with if you go up you die, as all of this is kind of going on around you, the chanting continues. You hear more screams from like in the forest, and then you notice the stars above you just kind of go a little strange. It seems almost as if they shift and morph slightly, and you only see that for just a moment. It's unlike anything you've seen before. You look up at the night sky, and it's almost always a constant for you, unless you catch the occasional shooting star or something like that. Everything seems permanent and fixed in its place.
Do I have? I have passive foot trace. We could try hide from them.
I'm
Go where?
yeah,
Dunno.
like
I'm class at hide and seek. That's all I'm saying. No one ever found me back in Ironholm. Like,
That's why I'm saying if we head back up the tower, we might be able to find what's keeping them going. Is my thought, or this wasn't actually Lessig and it's just a minion.
As much as I hate the idea of going up and potentially having nowhere else to go, that's kind of our only option, is to go back and up the tower.
All right,
let's boost.
Lewis, as Wallace is beginning to say that, again, you've got exceptionally good perception, and you're already kind of like tuned into the skies above you. Now, as you're quickly trying to make your decision, should we try to hide? Should we go back into the tower? What should we do? And this chanting grows louder around you. The stars kind of like shift again once more in the sky above you. And then from within the void of the sky above you, you see kind of like, your character's probably seen comets before. But comets, even when you're observing them, you may see the trail behind them, but you can't really observe it, moving too quickly across the sky. But you see something that reminds you, of a comet. And then, but it's moving much faster, more like a shooting star. Only instead of streaking towards the sky, across the sky, it's more like it's heading towards, where you are. And as it gets, and this is quick, much quicker than I'm describing it. You notice it, your mouth probably goes agape. And before you can, say anything, there's like this like blinding explosion in the sky above you. Now, I would like everyone to make dexterity saving throws.
Oh, is this like a meteor storm or something?
If it is, we are all dead.
Yeah.
No joke.
10.
Hold on.
12.
9.
13.
We're all screwed.
You're all fucked.
I rolled 17 minus 1, so 16.
Okay, so
Okay, so you only
Shundell
went
and
down.
Lewis, you had a 10 and a 9. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sadly, I was unable to procure brand new dice that would make me the greatest player ever. These budgetary restrictions and all.
All right. The two of you take 16 points of damage. Everyone else takes 8 points of damage.
No.
I'm going to use my reaction because it's an AoE effect with Shield Master and take none.
Okay, all right, you do that then. All right. So essentially, what happened is there was this, blinding flash of light in the sky above you. In spite of it being nighttime. Seconds after this blinding flash of light, you hear an explosion, and then it's just kind of like raining fire from the sky as these, flaming bits of debris, are streaking across the sky and just kind of like falling or exploding all around you, around the tower. So
Toby's gonna run in the tower.
He goes,
Like,
"Let's
forget
go."
this.
So we took
He
the
cannot take.
robe off the creature. I'm assuming there was nothing really else on them.
no.
I'm holding the rope in the head, and I'm like running into the.
Okay.
Yeah, then I'm just gonna leave the rest of it there if there's nothing else on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
I'm gonna
and
go
then
back into the tower. as
you're all
well.
heading within the tower. Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's nowhere else.
You do that, and as you're going into the tower, you know that, or you're fully aware that there are more bits of debris, just kind of like falling all around you. So if you had remained out there, you would have likely been subject to more of what had just happened. So,
Yay.
all right.
Um,
So.
I'm gonna suggest we go at least like 2-ish or more levels up and just sort of probably hold the stairs, I guess, because choke points. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see if they can climb walls.
Okay. All right. So you're heading within. Let me get my map real quick so I can better advise you all. So just as a reminder, when you're coming into the tower, there was the first kind of like antechamber that Toby had blown the door off of, the place that was just kind of like littered with debris and shards of this door that Toby had blown open. And then there were stairs leading up to this iron bound door. You'd seen footprints within there and animal tracks as well. So you go through the iron door. Once you do that, you are in kind of like this area that had this broken table in it, and they're kind of like, if you look around on the ground, there are remnants of places where people have burned fires in there. There's also debris in here as well. This was the place that also had the graffiti warning you about weak floors above, and there were 2 doors in here, 2 wooden doors and 2 kind of like fireplaces, against the wall in front of you as you enter. So this is the room that had the stairs that were leading up, the stairs that you had gone up initially.
Quick question: is there anything? Is there any way to bar the door?
I mean, it is an iron banded door. You close it, and yeah, there will be a locking mechanism, on the other side, with a bolt, iron bolt.
Okay. Before I throw the bolt, outside there was that kind of entryway was made entirely out of really old wood, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I'm just gonna look at Toby and I'm just gonna say, "Can you collapse this so they can't get in?" With your magic.
He's super weak, but yeah, he can try.
All right. How does Toby want to try to do that?
He's gonna pew it with his Eldritch blasts.
Okay.
So I got a 14.
You don't really have to roll to strike it. It's going to be nearly impossible to miss.
Yeah.
Give me the amount of damage that does.
Only 6 points.
Only 6? Okay. All right, so
Yeah.
what happens is you blast it with this, eldritch force, and you kind of like aiming at, one corner, and it manages to kind of like dislodge the wall, and it falls in a little bit, but the entire thing hasn't collapsed yet.
Are they coming at us at all? Like, can we tell?
You don't notice any pursuers at all. And in fact, as you're sitting here looking, I mean, you still, as things explode around the tower on the ground, you still continue to hear the chanting that you heard earlier with an occasional scream.
Maybe we should come up with a chant, and it will happen to them.
I don't think.
I don't think it works like that.
And Kristen, I'm pretty sure that Toby thinks he could probably level the structure. It's just going to require a little bit more than what you just did.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah. I mean, he can try again.
Okay.
And I guess he would just do it. So it's just 4 more. Yeah. He's pretty weak. So I mean, he'll keep trying and trying. But
yeah. Well, he may consider himself weak or whatever. But again, this wooden structure has been standing for no telling how long. So. He sends one more kind of like force blast, or eldritch blast into the same kind of area, and it manages to make that wall collapse, and the other ones collapse on top of it. So there is kind of like, this barricade of rotten wood, now.
Good enough.
So,
and I just close the door and lock it behind us.
Yeah. In that room on the second floor, there was 2 other doors. Maybe that leads to somewhere.
Yeah, I was.
Good call. Good call.
You're
No.
so
Some doors.
smart, Journey.
Thank you, Joey.
Now, in case I didn't communicate this very well, the room that you're currently in right now, the room behind the iron banded door, there are 2 doors within this room. There weren't more doors upstairs. You currently see 2 doors in here. So it's kind of like you come in the door.
I thought like, I thought if we went up like 1 flight, there was like a whole room, and then
Yeah, I think this was the confusion of it, is when you come into the antechamber, that wooden area that you just collapsed, there was a set of stairs going up to the iron banded door. But not like a full-on flight of stairs. It was just like, a couple of steps up to the door. And then you entered the room that you're in now currently, and directly across from the iron banded door on that wall are 2 fireplaces and 2 doors, fireplaces and then a door on each side of those. So you're in the area with the 2 doors right now.
Oh, okay.
Sure, let's check the doors. Might as well.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
See how many literal
Sweet.
skeletons are in these closets.
Can I cast Find Traps first before we do that?
Sure.
Okay, I do that. It tells me if there's presence of traps in 120 feet, but not its location.
Okay. All right. So within 120 feet, you can most certainly tell that somewhere on the other side of those doors is some kind of trap.
Okay. I'm gonna relay that information to them and be like, guys, it's a trap. Kind of like that, the Star Wars meme thing. That's what I say to them. We should probably look around and see if there's anything that might trigger that here to try and disarm it before opening these doors. Can I make an I've got -1 intelligence, but can I make an investigation check?
Certainly. You can look around.
13.
13? All right. So you're looking around the area, and you don't find anything within this room that seems like it would trigger a trap. Your magic, your divine, this kind of divine sense that you have access to is certainly telling you that there's something beyond on the other side of the door that poses imminent danger to you, but you don't see a trigger in here at all.
So it's most likely opening the door.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm pretty weak right now. So Bagsy, know me.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna stand off to the side of the door, like kind of SWAT team style. And then I'm just gonna reach over, open it, and pray whatever it is fires like straight at the door.
I'm getting out of the way. Like,
Right,
of
get out of the
anything.
way quickly.
Like everyone out of
Yeah.
line of sight of the door, and I'm just gonna be like on the side of it with my shield up in a really awkward position facing the door, and be like, and just lean away.
Okay. All right. So, first of all, there are
This
two
one's
doors.
really- Stop.
You need to tell me which door.
There's
There's the door
Right
on
or
the
left?
right and the door on the left.
Let's go with the right one.
The right one? Okay. All right. Now, tell me once again, because I kind of missed exactly what you were doing. I heard you were saying something about the shield or whatever, but your
so,
plan
like-
is to...
Basically, like back to the wall next to on like the left side of the door, reaching over to get the door handle or whatever to try and open it. And then my shield is just kind of like around me in a really awkward way, facing the door in case whatever this is explodes.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna try and open it in like a really weird like crossbody position.
Okay. All right. So you set yourself up like that. You reach for the door, and you twist it. It's not locked. The handle moves freely, and you let it swing open and brace yourself for the worst. You almost flinch a little bit as the door just kind of like, a draft, kind of catches it through the tower, slams it open, against the other side. But as you do that, it only peers into darkness, and nothing injures you or threatens to injure you.
Oh, of course.
I had a suspicion the trap wasn't the door. The trap is going to be somewhere else.
Walking in.
Yes.
Or something.
Listen, we're all paranoid.
I'm gonna dancing lights into that room because it's dark, and then see what it shows us.
Okay.
Okay.
You do that, and it appears. Are you peeking inside?
Oh yeah,
Okay. It appears.
staying outside but peeking.
Okay, you're peeking. It appears to be kind of like a kitchen / pantry type area, and these fireplaces on the other side. They go to the other side of the room as well, and you can tell that this is kind of like an area that they cook in. So if it provides warmth for the room that you're currently in, and then it allows them to cook on the other side. And there are like these kind of stone shelf structures on the other side. You see kindling and rubbish all around. You see rotten foodstuffs. Sitting on the kind of like stone pantries built into the stone shelves built into the walls. And then as you kind of like look towards the other side of the room to the left, where that other left door was, you see that there is kind of like this wooden structure that is it's built above the door, and there are like some kind of like rotten boards, kind of like keeping this shelf thing in place. And you look above the shelf up there, and it's just kind of like lots of stone stacked above it. So, if you'd gone in the other door, you're pretty sure that you would have knocked that down, and it would have sent a collapse of stone, upon your head or whatever, So
Oh,
Well, there you go.
it is very obvious from this side of the room.
all right. Obviously, someone liked the kitchen. Might as well head upstairs, I guess. Doesn't seem like there's anything worth taking in here, unless any of you want to take a look.
No,
Is there a chef's hat?
You'd have to go look around. He doesn't know. There's a lot of
Okay.
stuff in here.
Uh,
A lot of debris.
I'm gonna go a wee look around for a chef's hat.
All right. Give me an investigation roll.
Hey, 15.
15. Okay. You don't find a chef's hat. You do find a kind of like rotting apron, hanging up within there. In addition to that, as you're kind of like looking around, going through the debris, sifting through the debris, stuff like that, between the two fireplaces, you notice that there is a false floor, kind of like built into the stone mantle as well.
Interesting.
I'm going to put the apron on. Does that give me any plus to my AC?
Yeah,
Is
it's a definite +3 to being smelly, because this thing is like super musty.
I'm going to inform them about the sort of false floor and then kind of beckon everyone to come in.
Okay.
Here.
What you got there?
Oh, it's an apron. It's nice, isn't it? Can the apron have flowers on it, or nah? Is it just like a plain one?
Yeah, sure. Whoever had worn this once upon a time had stitched some flowers into it.
Are you feeling a little fancy there, Wallace?
I like it. I think it's really nice. But anyway, the more important than this apron is this floor in here. This might lead to something.
I mean, is there a way to pop the floor?
You look at it. You think you probably could. I mean, you can definitely tell it's a false floor. So you just have to try.
So just jump on it.
Don't jump on it. It's a horrible idea.
Usually these things pull, and I'm just gonna try and find a seam or an edge that I can lift, or like a ring set into it that I can pull.
Okay.
See if it's basically like a storage cellar or something like that.
All right. As you look around at it, you kind of like dust it off, looking for like some kind of seams or something like that, and then you kind of like notice that hanging near it, kind of on the brick of the fireplace or the stone of the fireplace, is kind of like an odd sort of implement. And as you see the false floor, you can tell that this kind of like piece of metal sort of like hooks into a couple of holes that are on there, and you think that you could probably use it to lift it up.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. We'll see where this thing goes.
Okay.
Might be an escape route that we can use later.
All right. So you use that tool, you lift it up, the kind of like false floor kind of like swings back against the stone, and there are kind of like a set of stairs, stone stairs, just kind of like, it looks like it's built into the ground, below, just kind of like descend into the darkness beneath you.
We should shut the kitchen door, and then we should climb in here and then close it over.
Well, hold on. Do we want to go down here first, or do we want to go up and check the top of the tower and see if anything else is still around?
We can maybe check up and then come back down, depending. But I don't know how much time we've got, man.
True, but if we didn't get Lessa, do we leave now?
I mean, we could rest down here. I'm pretty weak.
That's true.
Scary thought resting here, though.
It is.
I've slept in worse places.
Under what
I'm
circumstances?
spinning logs down here, though.
This constantly being stuck between a rock and a hard place and having to choose between the lesser of two evils is really getting tiring. Can we stop?
It's the story of my life right now.
Agreed. Okay. Let's try upstairs first. Maybe not go all the way to the top in case we get hit with more of whatever the hell's coming from the sky. But just make sure nothing else is in the tower first, and then we will book it full haste back down here.
Should we all go? Should maybe have like someone stand at the bottom and then someone just run up and be like, yeah or no? I can do that. I'm pretty perceptive.
If you, out of character, if you want to do a bit of scouting, I would not be opposed to that.
I'm just gonna like kind of skip out with my wee flowery apron was there. I'm never taking that off.
Your apron will protect you from here on out.
All right. So
enough protection.
Did you say that you're leaving the room and you're going upstairs to scout? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I want to quickly look up and like see if there's anything kind of interest. If not, I just want to run back then.
Okay. All right.
I think I'm gonna go with you.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. This doesn't sound like a good solo thing.
I can agree with that. I'll stick on the bottom floor and like hold the door if we have to.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So Junie and Wallace are heading up the spiral stairs to kind of check out what was above you. Correct. And everybody else is remaining in the kitchen with the false door. Correct?
Yes.
Just keeping an ear for if those things are trying to batter down the door.
Okay. All right. So Junie and Wallace, You go back out into the room with the spiral stairs, and you begin climbing up them. And you go up one flight, and you get to an area that appears as though it was probably once, and a reminder, you've already been through this before, you just did it much faster. You were climbing as quickly as you could. So you come into the area that looks like it was once kind of like this great hall, and there's a collapsed wall in here. This is one of the areas that I told you were kind of like the tree branches kind of like grown through and, just kind of like broken the stone wall, so you can see out, into the area around the tower on that side. And as you look out, it is still night sky with this strange, constellations you don't recognize. You no longer see falling debris, from the sky, but as you look out upon the ground, just a floor down, you do see like, flaming, just chunks of stuff on the ground still burning, or glowing, red with heat or what have you, So it appears as though whatever this was that exploded above you had just completely showered all around the area of the tower, And as you look out as well, the eyeless have not disappeared. They're still there. They're still chanting, So there's that. But that's not where you are right now. You're in this great hall kind of area. Got this collapsed wall with the branches coming in. There's a support pillar in the middle of the room, and they're kind of like large. It appears like they might have been, very nice tables once upon a time with benches. This was probably a nice place to have guests. There are tapestries on the wall that are kind of like moldering, rotten. They've been here for you don't know how long. But Junie, give me a history roll.
Okie dokie. 16.
As you're looking at them, you take interest in history. You study it considerably. This goes kind of like right along with the tower. These tapestries appear to date from the Root Imperium era. Like you see people in dress that you recognize as being associated with generals or what have you, from this era, kind of like toasting one another in victory, So it's really old tapestries that you're looking at right now. And that's about all that you kind of see in this area, other than the stairs continuing to go up.
What do you say, Junie? Should we go up?
And doesn't look like there's anything useful in this room, so we might as well keep going and seeing what we can find.
Sure.
All right, so you just kind of glance at the area and continue climbing the stairs?
Yeah.
All right. So you glance around. That's what you saw. As you go up, you come into the area that you encountered the thing initially, where you had the battle with it. And this appears to be an area that's more like a solar, kind of like the bedroom of the person who lived here. And there's a rotting bed against the wall. The walls here are damaged just like they were outside. Having just recently been up here and, battling whatever this thing was, there's kind of like a trapdoor built within the ceiling, that you can kind of like look up and see a bit of the night sky as well.
Oh, that's where he would have been when he attacked us at the top.
So you intuit.
I could cast one spell slot left. I can cast magic that will hide us. If we could go up there, and they probably wouldn't see us. And we could check that area out, but it is a bit risky.
I'm sorry, Lewis, what was that? You can cast magic that can hide you? And then what?
I've got one spell slot left, so if you want, Ginny, we can cast Pacific Trace. We can go up and check this area out. Maybe there was something that he left up at the top that he couldn't pick up when we were sort of attacking him when he was shooting the missiles down at us. What do you think?
I don't know if the risk is worth the reward. You know, it just seems too, like, slightly too risky. But at the same time, I don't know what other option we have.
I mean,
Should
I
okay.
think we should do it. Do you want to do it? Let's do it.
Is there anything going to protect you?
Yes.
I'm gonna rename you Lewis Jenkins.
While you're doing that, I just want to give a shout out. We have someone in from the DM Collective, so thanks for joining us and hanging out with us on chat. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, if you get me killed, Wallace, I will come back from the dead to kill you. So
Unless I'm already dead.
I will bring you back to kill you again.
That's cool. Right, okay.
All right.
Right. So we'll make a stealth check. I'll cast the... Yeah, I'll cast Passive Foot Trace. I'm out of spells now. I'm tapped out. So you got a +10.
Thank you.
Sorry?
You've got a
know who
+10
Lewis
to your
Jenkins
stealth.
is, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So, from what I get, you're going to try to, ascend up into this kind of like trapdoor type area, stealthing as you ascend, right? So, each of you get your +10, but give me a stealth roll as you're trying to do this as quietly as possible.
28.
All right.
Yeah, 28.
Okay.
Lord.
All right. So, you're able to go up, climb up into this trapdoor type area. And as you do, you ascend into a dark room, but you both have dark vision, so this is not much of an issue for you at all. And you're kind of glancing around it, and it's a circular sort of room. And there is a door leading out of here. Now, built within the walls of this kind of circular room are what appear to be, kind of like shelves for, tomes or scrolls or, things that might have been important to study once upon a time. And as you're looking at these shelves, you see that it's just kind of like they're covered with debris and like a fine dust, and as you're looking at it, you can pretty much tell that these are the remnants of what would have been scrolls or tomes or something that have just been left up here to molder and rot and disintegrate throughout the years. Now, also within this room is a fireplace. What else? And then there is an iron-banded door, kind of like the one that you entered into as well, that leads out of this sort of circular room. So what do you wish to do?
Right, well, this isn't what I thought was going to happen when we opened this thing, but...
We're up here. We might as well look around to see if and what anything can be useful.
do any of these scrolls, are they, like, in good enough condition to read? Are they, like...
Everything
do you think
that
any
you've
of them-
seen so far on the shelves is like completely disintegrated. You might
Yeah,
find
so-
something that looks like an almost complete scroll. You grow to touch it, and it just like crumbles.
Crumpled, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it crumbles within your grasp. Now, Junie, you said you wanted to look around, so you want to give me an investigation check?
I mean, I don't really want to walk around. I just kind of want to... I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'll investigate.
Okay.
Why not? It's a 10.
It's a 10. Okay. So, as you are looking around, you see, kind of similar to the fireplace downstairs, that there's another rather kind of obvious, not like a false floor, but an area within the soot of the fireplace that is just kind of like rectangular, and it's obvious that soot hasn't burned there, or it's been wiped off. So it's obviously strange.
It's in the fireplace, like where the fire would burn?
Yeah. Kind of like in the back, like you would have to kind of like... It's a pretty big fireplace. You kind of have to like crawl within the fireplace.
Is it on the floor or on the wall? I'm assuming it's on the wall.
It's on the wall, kind of like in the back of the fireplace.
Okay, I'm going to tell this to Wallace and be like, there's what looks like a door. I can't say that it's a door, but there looks to be a door in the back of the fireplace. That looks sketchy, but
We should totally go in there.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, let's do it.
Alright.
I just
Okay.
me as an observer loves this. Me as like a player has so much fear right now for you guys.
You know. Wait, are we still like
Stealthy, yeah. It lasts for
Yeah.
like an hour.
okay, yes. Okay, yeah. So I'm totally down to going through then.
All right. So, what's your marching order as you're kind of like looking within there?
Wallace has got the protective apron on, so he
Yep, I do. I'm gonna go in first.
Okay. All right. Now, as you kind of go in within there, you kind of see what she was talking about at the back, and you can tell it's not large enough for a person to fit through, but it looks like it would be large enough to like keep something within, you know. And as you're there, and also I can tell you that this fireplace doesn't feel warm. It doesn't look like, or it doesn't feel like there's been a fire burning here. You know, this, not that you can really tell how old the soot is, but you can tell that there are definite kind of like handprints from where someone has gone within here, you know, recently, possibly, or at least those handprints haven't been disturbed. But as you're kind of like looking at that, you feel something sort of wet, like drip, like behind your ear, you know, and
What does it taste like?
it tastes like a maggot.
Oh,
It's kind of like
Oh.
you just, it was.
I'm just gonna swallow it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up.
All right, you look up, and as you look up, you can see that like up within this fireplace, the walls are just kind of like crawling. You know, they're alive with this kind of like these maggots that are just kind of like all over the place. And like right as you look up, a bunch of them just fall like on your face, and you know, just kind of like all
Bitch took her
down
trial, man.
in your armor, on your face, in your hair. Now, what I need you to do is to give me a Constitution saving throw.
Come on, man, you're a dwarf. You're fine.
14.
14. Okay. So, how do you react when that happens? Because again, it's like you felt some drip, like down behind your ear, and then you just turn around,
Probably
look
just
up,
get
and
a
see
fright,
that.
to be honest. I'd just be, I wouldn't like make any noise because I'm trying to be quiet, but I just kind of be like, you know what I mean, like trying to get them out.
So, Junie, you kind of see that, you know, Wallace just, you know, he goes in and then immediately just kind of backs out, and you see that he's like swiping at his, you know, face, and you can tell that, you know, there's like some kind of mass like all, you know, around in this area, and you look closer and it reminds you of when you were in Toby's workshop, but not quite the same thing, you know. Now, Wallace, as you're trying to get them off of you, you're just slinging them here and there, and then you feel within your right ear like something crawling down within your ear.
Oh, okay.
I'm like the corpse bride now. Start talking to me.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just like try to stick my finger in my ear, like try to get it out, like squish it. I'm just like,
All right. You begin to do that, and some of them you squish against the side of your ear, you know, and you're just kind of like doing this, and you know, you think for a moment, you know, you got them cleared off. You may have, you know, gotten that one out, and you're sitting there, and you know, probably, I'm guessing, looking completely unnerved, maybe at Wynn, or not Wynn, but Junie, and you know, you're kind of finally calmed down, and then you feel it again deeper within your ear.
Oh.
this apron is missing a hood, man. This isn't deal.
I don't even.
Junie, I need to ask you a favour.
What?
There's something in my ear, and I can't hear it.
Okay.
Can you, like, I don't know, you got like an arrow or something, you can like scoop it out.
Arrow?
I don't know how big my ear would be. Like, I don't know what you could fit in my ear. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm trying to look to see what I have. Like, other than an arrow with my dagger.
how big are Ginny's hands?
They're not. I mean, she's got slender elf fingers, I'm sure, but she's also.
So like
She's
long
also-
and thin, could like.
I don't think my fingers are gonna fit down here.
Yeah, I don't think they are either. Not like that, at least.
Like, I have a poisoner's kit and a carpenter's tools. I don't know. Could I use something
Yeah,
like
let's chisel it out.
I was thinking maybe tweezers.
Oh, there's is that come in our carpenter's tools? Yeah, we could just
I
tweezers.
don't know.
I was thinking poisoner's kit night. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what's actually in the moth. I had to know if there's something in it that could help.
All right. So, I don't know that a poisoner's kit has tweezers in it, but it's not entirely unreasonable that might be in there. So, let's say maybe it does.
Okay, because I also have a carpenter's tools, which I think between the two of them there would be something. So, yeah, we're gonna say that one of them at least has tweezers, and yeah, sure, I'll go dig it in your ear.
Be gentle.
I didn't have tweezers.
If I-
Carpenter's tools has one long ass nail.
There you go.
Ginny, if I say pineapples, please stop.
Pineapples, okay. Pineapples.
All right. So,
I had to turn my mic off.
so you're going to try to blindly get this out of his ear. Now,
Unless I can light the fires for some light. There's
Not while we're standing in it.
I'm going to need you to give me a medicine check, but at disadvantage.
Oh. Okay.
I'm more forget that Alice. I'm fear of maggots, man.
They're both 18.
Both 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I have a 1 in medicine, so that would be 19.
Okay. All right. So you kind of take the tweezers and you reach down within his ear. Wallace, I want you to give me a, let's just say a dex save, as you're trying to stand very, very still. You're not at disadvantage or anything, just a straight dex save.
12.
12. All right, that's good enough. All right. So you reach down within his ears with the tweezers, and you don't feel anything, and then you feel a little bit of resistance, and Wallace doesn't flinch. And you pull out your tweezers, and there are a few maggots within the grasp of the tweezers.
Probably covered in wax as well. Like black wax.
Okay. I was okay with the maggot. That kind of set me over.
I almost regret having dinner before this stream now.
All right. Okay. Okay, so it's out. Do you feel? Is there any more? Please tell me there's no more.
Do I feel any more?
You don't feel anything. I mean, you do have a strange feeling, kind of within your ear, but you're not sure if it's because something was in there or the tweezers, digging around with the tweezers or whatever. It's not like a pain or anything, but it's you feel a little strange,
Okay. I need a minute.
Let's not talk about this.
No. No, we take this to the grave.
Yeah, I won't tell anyone if you don't. All right.
Thank you, promise.
I guess we all found out Wallace.
Right. So I don't really want to go back in there, Ginny, to be honest with you, because
yeah, no. Well, okay, so it was like a door. It was kind of like a trapdoor, enough for it to go through. Is that what you were saying?
kind of like a safe, kind of.
Like a safe?
That's what I'm kind of. It's like not big enough for us to go into, but like people put things in it.
Depends on how big the
Yeah.
fireplace is, I guess.
Yeah.
Just watch for the maggots, man.
We could burn them. Do we have anything to start a fire?
Sacred flame.
Do you?
we
Yeah,
could
I'm gonna sacred flame these maggots.
Okay. All right.
Because, I mean, obviously it's back there, it's hidden. Somebody has either gotten in there to take something or put something in it. So I think it's worth trying. As long as I don't have to pull any more maggots out of your ear.
Or any other holes in my body, but yeah, I'll cast sacred flame at the maggots.
Okay.
All right.
It's a save. It's a.
These aren't an active combatant. You know, I mean, you just.
Yeah, just kind of burning
They're
them.
just there. Yeah,
You just
okay.
you'll do it. It'll sear them. You know, I mean, and it'll be foul smelling. You know, there'll be ashy remnants, maybe a little slime. You know, or whatever.
Considering all the random places we've been to, I doubt the smell is the least of our concern.
Yeah.
So you do that, and you're fairly certain that you've taken care of this particular problem.
All right. I will go first. I'm going to ensure that my hood is over my head so nothing can fall into my ears.
Okay.
Just in case. And so, how does it look like it opens? Just a push?
Okay. So when you climb in there, again, you know, it's very foul odor, you know, from what just happened. Your hands are kind of like within the fresh soot remnants, you know, from what was in here. But essentially, you kind of like see a place in the stone where you can just sort of like hook a finger in, and you do it, and you know, you just kind of like pull your finger forward, and this kind of like metal door just kind of like swings open. You know, again, kind of smallish. So it swings open,
Right.
and then it reveals on the other side this box.
A box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like a metal
Okay.
box.
Before I touch anything or do anything, Wallace, come inspect this. Let me know if you have higher stats than I do.
Can I? What does the box look like?
Yeah.
It looks like a metal box, about this big.
Okay,
It's not very big.
I might-
very- Okay.
I'm gonna
Does it
look around.
Does it look like a lockbox? Like, does it look like it needs to be unlocked with a key or anything? Is there any kind of padlock on it?
No, nothing that you can tell.
Just a box.
I'm gonna open the box.
All right, you
Okay,
pull it out,
let's
open, you know, kind of the lid. The lid is on a hinge. And when you do that, there is this, it's a box that's filled with what appears to be, you know, kind of like gold ore or something like that. So, not gold pieces, but just like like gold nuggets that are within here.
Okay.
Whoever hid this here is going to be very angry that we are taking it.
Hmm.
I'm not there, but they're probably
Yeah.
dead anyways.
That's probably true. Okay.
So, okay, I'm gonna close it and just keep a hold of the box. What is around is there anything worth noting in the rest of the room?
Yeah.
No, it was an area that held this box.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
get back down and
Yeah.
oh wait, can we go further up or?
You can go out. There was a door leading out of this circular room.
Do you think we should, or do you think we should go back down?
I think we should go back down and tell them so far, like how far we got, and see if they want to, what they want to do next. I think we've been separated a little, like long enough.
Yeah, good idea.
Down.
Let's run down the stairs. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. You do that. Everyone who is downstairs, you will hear the sounds of your compatriots running. You know, you don't hear screaming or anything like that, but you will hear, you know, heavy and quick footfall on the stairs. So.
There's more where that came from.
Wynn will heft her club just in case to get ready, hearing the running.
Okay.
I'm posted up sort of at a midpoint between the stairs and the main entryway to this level. So I'm actually outside the kitchen. I'm there in case I need to either reinforce the door or block against whatever's chasing them down the stairs effectively.
Okay.
So I hear that and I'm just waiting because I'm like, this is either going to be real good or real bad.
And then
I'm just going to come running down with the box and be like, look what we found. We found the box and it has gold nuggets in it. There was nothing up there.
And there's nothing chasing us, Wynn. You can put your club down.
Then why are you running?
Because it's scary up there.
Yeah.
I'm literally just going to roll my eyes and say, so you didn't check the entire tower, did you?
We didn't want to be gone that long. It's scary
Well,
up there.
If you had seen what was up there, I'm sure you would have ran back down the stairs as well.
Yeah.
Unspeakable things happened up the stairs.
Things, yeah.
But there's nothing up there?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Nothing. It's honestly, don't worry about it.
But you didn't check the entire tower.
It's
I mean,
scary up
we got
there.
we got to a point at the top. We could go out sort of to where I would assume the top area where Lessick was attacking us
Not
from.
as far as we thought we could go without potentially dying. And, there's strength in numbers, so we decided to come back down to see if you guys wanted to go back up with us. That way if something does happen, there's strength in numbers. And
I want to
there's
insight check Junie to see if she's
It's really dangerous.
just total bullshitting on why they came back down.
All right. You can give an insight check. While you're doing that, Kristen, give me an Arcana check for Toby as well.
I rolled a 6.
Okay. Everything checks out with what she was saying. So.
Okay.
I lied to you. They're okay.
It's not that I think you're lying, it's that I think you might be bullshitting why you came back down.
I'm totally not
17.
scared.
What was that, Kristen?
17.
Okay, 17. What happened with the robe? What's going on with that now?
I would assume that I would have given it to Sir Kay before I went up, along with the head to put in the bag of holding.
All right. So
I would have put the head in the bag. I probably would have left the robe out in case, because it's clearly got something about it. So if any of our resident magic experts want to take a look, they are welcome to.
Okay. So I assume that probably this entire time that you've been there, given that he kind of had it out, you've probably been, eyeing the material of the robe or whatever. And, kind of as you're looking at it, again, it looks, it doesn't look like fabric with a star pattern on it. Now that you're kind of looking at it, it literally looks like the night sky, And then, for a moment, and one area of it, you think you see something streak across it, And it's not like there's a lot of motion or anything like that, but you can tell that there's something unusual about this robe.
Toby just probably would have been sitting up against a wall trying to rest. If he glanced over and kind of was squinting at the cloak, he might have caught a glimpse of what happened. Maybe thinking that he saw something, maybe got hit a little too hard. And I guess make a mental note for later.
Okay.
He's just resting right now, and he wouldn't. He might say that to the rest of the group, oh, is it just me, or are there stars shooting across a cloak? Am I seeing things?
Toby,
Sure.
I've heard of people seeing stars before. Oh, wait, no, you're actually right. Never mind.
Yeah, and as you examine it a little closer, again, it doesn't look like stars printed on the material. It looks like the inky void of the night sky, with these pinpoints of lights in it.
I'm gonna kind of hand it over to Toby and just say, "You're not looking so well. Do you need any kind of healing?"
I'll be alright if we just rest here for a while.
Alright, well... I'm gonna kind of look over at Junia Wallace and just say, right, this time around, I'm going to go up with you two, since there's less of a chance of any of us dying. Honestly, I'd prefer all 5 of us go up and then come back down, but... Toby needs his rest. Wynn, you're welcome to come, or you're welcome to look after Toby. It's up to you.
Wynn will glance at Toby now holding the robe, is he?
I would assume so.
I mean, Kay handed it to him, but what does Toby do with the robe when Sir Kay hands it to you?
He's gonna just use it as a blanket.
Okay. All right.
And then, lay down.
Okay.
Wynn will glance at Toby with the blanket and then glance back at Sir Kay. I think maybe I should stay here.
Alright, we'll be back in a few moments. Won't be long.
Okay.
So,
We shouldn't die, so yeah, we'll be back.
yeah, just for the sake of brevity, I'm basically gonna go back up with them,
Sure.
and then once we get to the floor they already checked, and, they tell me whereabouts they looked around, I'm just gonna kind of look at both of them and just say, so you completely ignored the door.
No, I've seen it. Just didn't want to die, so.
It was her.
Kay kind of looks up in the sky as if he's praying, but he doesn't really say anything. He's just like... And I'm just gonna go... Apparently I'm being a doorman tonight. Gonna go open the door and see what's up.
Okay.
Strength in numbers,
All right.
okay?
So, he kind of lifts his head up, but, of course he doesn't see the sky because he's inside this, stone room. But you see the ceiling, And then you walk over to the door and open the door. Now, the door, leads out to what appears to be the area that this sort of monstrous thing that had, fired upon you was standing. And as you kind of look at it, surrounding the room that you're in, you've got a little more than maybe 5 feet on each side, but just barely. There's not a lot of room, and then there's kind of like this bit of a crenellated edge, around the tower as well, and then kind of like the bit of the room that you were just in, extends up a little further, and then there's kind of like this conical top to it, So, but as you kind of open the door and look out, that's what you see. Now, from where your door is at the moment, you open it up and you kind of look out into the area that you would come into, and what you observe down there are the still smoldering remains from whatever it was that had exploded in the sky above you. But not only that, you see within the light down there these shadowy forms, whereas the eyeless had been surrounding the tower, they're now kind of out in that open area in front of the tower, and you see that they're doing something, and as you focus, it's quite a distance from you, and it is dark. But that being said, again, like I said, there are these, flaming and smoldering things that are on the ground, so you can catch a little bit of light. You can see that they are stacking what appears to be bodies, and they're continuing with their chanting.
Oh.
Totally normal.
Oh, mate, these guys have serious issues, man. What is going on?
As they're saying this, I imagine it's Wallace and Junie kind of looking over the edge and seeing this, and then just cinematography style, there's a jump cut to just me standing behind them lighting one of the Molotov cocktails that I still have on me because I haven't used any of them yet. And I'm just like, and I just light it, stuff the cloth in, and I light a torch, and I light that, and then just look over, judge a little bit, pink, and just drop it over the edge, aiming for the pile.
Okay, you're actually going to have to throw it. It's not quite
Yeah.
directly right over the edge. So
Yeah,
you'll kind of
so,
have
like,
to step out
Comedy,
and throw.
just a little,
Okay.
kind of like a flick of the wrist.
All right, so
I
you do...
really
You do
hope
not a
that
full-on throw, so go ahead and give me a strike, a dex strike, but with disadvantage because of the way that you're trying to toss it out there.
This is not going to end well.
No, I don't think this is either.
One of them
Natural
was a
one.
natural 20. But with disadvantage, it comes down to like a 14.
14. Okay, all right. So from the distance that it is, and you are, you don't quite directly land on it, but you land near it, and there was an eyeless in that area, and then just kind of like the alcohol like splatters, and you see it go up in flame and begin kind of like howling, as it's covered in flame. So
Oh, damn. I missed.
You
Number 2.
missed?
And I light, and I'm aiming for the pile again.
Okay.
I'm just aiming for the pile of bodies. That's what I'm doing.
all right, same way or just as gingerly as you did it the first time? I mean, that way,
This
or are
time
you
around,
actually
I'm gonna
like?
give it a genuine throw because like I kind of expected to hit it the first time. I'm like, oh, shit, actual throw this time.
All right. So the first thing I want you to do as you kind of like step out and brace yourself to, kind of give it a full-on throw is give me a dex save.
Dex save.
Yes.
You fall over and the Molotov cocktail blows up the room.
That's an 11.
An 11. Okay. All right. That's good enough. You step out there and bits of stone kind of like crumble, and you lose your footing, but you can still follow through with the throw.
Places hate me. Yeah, I just follow through, aiming for the pile, hoping to just burn whatever it is they're trying to do.
Okay. So give me a ranged strike, no disadvantage this time.
That is a... No, it's the same thing. Sorry, I
Another
couldn't tell if that was a 15 or a 16 from a distance. It's a 14 total.
That's another 14. Okay. Same thing happens. It lands a little short of it, but you don't catch a eyeless, aflame this time. So, but you've got a much better idea of what's going on the ground now. As like you got this burst of of light, from the two bits of flame sources, and you can very much tell that there are lots of eyeless kind of like around in this area, and they are stacking bodies, and you can tell it's not members of their own kind, whatever they are. You can tell that these are humans or elves or dwarves or people, and as you're kind of like looking, you might surmise or intuit that these could be people that they had captured from Mournton.
We really need to get out of here.
Oh, we really need to do something about this. I mean, I think they might be
Yes.
making more eyeless.
Well, the problem is, we killed Lessig and I haven't stopped.
Yeah. If that was even Lessig.
So,
That's
Checking
what
out the-
I'm thinking.
Now,
checking out downstairs then.
as you all are talking, and you've thrown, these kind of Molotov cocktails that you've made, and they explode in the area. You see that it hasn't, even though one of the eyeless is kind of like burning to death on the ground right now, it hasn't really deterred them at all whatsoever. They stack a few more bodies on there, and the chanting that you heard earlier continues. It has not subsided at all, and it only grows in intensity. And as that happens, you see another similar streak of light across the sky that you saw earlier. This time without an explosion, but just kind of like the loud whistle of this thing, descending from the sky to the ground, and it lands like in the middle of this pile of bodies. And whereas you were trying to set it aflame, it just kind of like explodes and sends it into an inferno, that just kind of engulfs, or is seeming to engulf, the bodies that have been stacked there. And the chanting continues.
I'm going to cast Thaumaturgy, and in Abyssal, I'm going to like get my voice to boom out, and I'm going to just say stop.
All right.
This looks
Yes.
interesting.
Damn.
Say that one more time. So, I couldn't hear what you said, or I didn't understand
I'm
what you
going to
said.
cast
Thaumaturgy.
Thaumaturgy, and in Abyssal, I'm going to say stop.
In Abyssal. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you do that. Does anybody else understand Abyssal?
Nope.
Hell no.
You
Okay.
just see me go like, just like screaming at these, like hanging like pure.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
At the end of it, I just like slam Toby or Wallace in the back and be like, "You all right? You sound like you're choking."
I'm fine. I
I
meant
already
to say
saved you
that.
once. I'm not doing it again.
All right. So you do this in Abyssal, and you know the figures are not really moving anymore now that this pile of corpses is aflame. They are there, and they continue their chanting though. You may have caught the attention of some of them that look up at this kind of loud and booming voice in Abyssal, but they continue on with their chanting as this pile burns, and the smoke from it is ascending into the sky, and you catch a waft of the smell of the bodies as they're burning on the ground beneath you. And now, I think it'd be a good time to take a break. We're at 8:30. This is a normal time that we kind of pause. So let's take about a 5-minute break.
Gives me time to think through my really stupid idea I just had.
This,
All right,
this is
we'll
not going well.
come back to it.
Yeah, this is not going well at all.
All right,
Okay.
back in 5. We're picking up with where we left off, and where we left off was with Junie and Wallace and Sir Kay, kind of in this room at the top of the tower. And this room that you were in was kind of like this sort of study type area, and you had investigated it, and you had, or that is to say, Junie and Wallace had investigated it, and then gone downstairs and gotten Sir Kay. You came back up. Sir Kay opened the door to the outside, and when he did that, he immediately saw that kind of like in the front area of the tower where you had entered, there were several of the eyeless things from the forest, and he could barely see this because it is dark, and even though he is an elf, his dark vision from this far away is not that effective. However, that being said, there are bits of burning debris on the ground from the explosion that occurred earlier in our session. So with that bit of light, he was able to make out the forms of the eyeless, and he saw that they were stacking these bodies within kind of like the forest floor in front of the tower. And he just kind of like took out one of his bottles of alcohol and put a rag in it and lit it aflame and just sort of gingerly tossed it over the side of the tower. And it landed upon the ground and exploded in a burst of flame and set one of the eyeless things from the forest aflame, and it began, howling as it, burned alive. And then he decided he was going to do that again, trying to aim a little more deliberately toward what he had seen the eyeless doing. And what he saw them doing was stacking bodies. And after thinking about it, you kind of realized that these are most likely bodies of the villagers that had been taken from the attack on Mournton. They were stacking them by the dozens. And he decided that he was going to be a little more deliberate, knowing that these bodies are dead. He was going to try to use one of his makeshift bombs to set them aflame. And he threw it again, but it missed and just landed upon the ground. Now, after that, you were beginning to talk and try to decide what you were going to do. And you heard the chanting as it continued, and it got louder, and then there was another streak across the sky, only this time there wasn't an explosion, just the sound of something streaking across the sky, and it landed in the middle of the bodies and set them aflame. Now, almost immediately, Wallace cast Thaumaturgy and made his voice sound booming, and he spoke in Abyssal and yelled, "Stop!" And as he did that, the eyeless things did not stop. They continued their chanting around the bodies burning. And as you were on top, continuing to look at this kind of spectacle going on below, You see that within this bonfire of bodies, Wallace, you in particular, think that you notice a form moving within the flames. It's kind of like black silhouette of what appears to be kind of like a humanoid moving within the flames.
So,
We're doomed. We're doomed.
not necessarily. First off, okay, to make this go a bit quicker, out of character, I'm gonna suggest we check out that escape hatch, if that is what it is. And if that is an escape hatch, I say we see if we can bring down the tower.
On top of them.
Yeah. Any,
It's bold.
does anyone by
Risky.
chance have a shatter spell? Actually, wait, no, I think that's 3rd level. Damn it. Thunderwave.
Wind might have Thunderwave.
Nope.
Okay.
And I've only got first level slots.
Yeah. We're all kind of tapped out. I mean, I could always just Captain America myself through a wall again. If you really want to
that's not
try.
happening.
No,
Kind of leave me SOL.
don't do that. Don't do that.
But no, that's what I'm thinking is we try and find a weakness on like the first floor of the wall, punch the
I
wall
mean,
out.
I feel it's an old enough tower that we could be successful.
Yeah,
And
we just have to make sure it
we're-
falls the right way.
We're really, really quickly running out of options. So at this point, I'm just like, the bolder, the better.
Yeah, let's check and make sure that a secret is
Yes.
actually an escape hatch first, and we wouldn't just be burying ourselves alive.
Yes,
I think we should run this plan by Win and Toby as well and get their opinion on it.
Now,
Oh,
Yes.
definitely. Like,
As
we have to
you're-
go downstairs either way.
as you're talking, just the three of you that are up there, we'll start with Junie. Junie, tell me the languages that you speak.
I speak Common, Elvish, Undercommon, Celestial, and Infernal.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Sir K, what are the languages that you speak?
Just common, dwarvish, and elvish.
Okay. Wallace, your languages.
Common, Dwarvish, Abyssal.
Okay. Now, as you're standing there, kind of like concocting this plan, the figure remains in the flames, and the chanting around it continues. And you hear something that sounds like this. Were you able to pick that up?
Yeah, I caught pieces of it.
Not really.
Little bits. I'm not sure if it was cutting in and out or what.
Okay.
But
It only sounded once. I've got this turned down kind of low, so I'll bump it up just so you can hear it a little better, hopefully.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
it's definitely not good.
No, that's not.
You hear that from within the flames, but you have no idea what the words mean. You can parse them out to be words, but you don't know what it means.
Downstairs? I'm thinking we run downstairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
At this point, I think we just need to do what we can to get out of here as in one piece. Because I'm so done with this.
We could really be doing that. Right, okay, let's go.
Yes.
Yep. Now that central column is stone, but the walls are fairly weak,
Yes.
so we might be able to actually pull this off. Yeah, let's just pull
Yeah.
downstairs.
I mean, the structural integrity of this tower being as old as being as old as the tower is, yeah, I'm taking a leap of faith here, but I think we have a good shot.
It's not my first leap of faith out of this tower. Let's do it. Get to Let's see if we can do this just from the bottom floor, though. Like, if we can just weaken one section of the wall and
Yeah.
have thing.
Okay.
Okay.
First, let's run it past the rest of the group to have them gauge our level of crazy.
And
Yeah.
check that to make sure we can actually get out of that cellar. So, yeah, I think that's the plan. I'm actually gonna have... I'll say, like, if Junie and Wallace want to check the cellar just to make sure there's a way out, I'll fill in Toby and Win on the idea so that we can kind of get that done at the same time and not burn too many seconds off our very shrinking lifespans.
Okay.
I'm good with it if Wallace is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
idea how this is
you
gonna go.
guys, I'm gonna try to listen to you, but players come up with unexpected ideas, so we're gonna go with it. So I'm just kind of like looking up some material over here. So I'm gonna be looking away from you, but I am very much listening to what you're doing. So just continue to conduct play.
Rapidly researches the AC and hit points of a tower. Yeah, I'm just gonna go downstairs and say, so outside's not looking very good. They have apparently summoned something by burning a bunch of bodies. So, the tentative plan right now is to see if those stairs into the darkness are a way out, and see if we can collapse the tower on them behind us.
Unless anybody else has got a better idea, because we're really, really, really short on options. And life.
And spells. It's the best I've got on short notice.
It's an insane idea.
Is it any worse than the owlbear?
Or stealing from a hag.
Or stealing from a hag? Honestly,
Well, that
at
was
this point,
just
might as well
stupid.
go for the hat trick.
Okay.
Why
I
is it
can't
all these
think of
ideas are
anything else.
Wallace's and mine? Unless there are any objections, give it a shot.
Lots
I'm
of
just-
objections, but no better ideas.
Fair enough.
Yes.
And duly noted.
All right. Now, before we go on any further, play is an abbreviated approximation of the time you've spent doing things. But given that Junie and Wallace were kind of like searching around and doing things, and then given that Sir Kay did the same thing, I am going to say that probably Toby, especially since you were deliberately trying to rest, you've received a short rest. And Wen, I'm going to say that you've probably gotten a short rest as well. So the two of you have been largely inactive, for the better part of an hour. So anything that you would have recouped due to a short rest, you do. And if you had been injured, you may certainly blow hit dice to try to recover and heal some of that injury.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, the way that I understand it, you're going to try to collapse the tower.
Well, first,
Wallace and I need
order
to-
of operations, we gotta check and see if there's a way
Yeah.
out through those stairs.
So, Wallace, let's go try not to die.
Let's go.
Alrighty.
Okay. So, you head down within the stairs. They go down into the darkness, but as I continue to mention, not a big issue for you as you have dark vision. And essentially, as you go down, it is musty, smelling. It's not quite like the smell of Hazel's burrow home, but, this is kind of like stone, and you see that the stone below is kind of like tracked with dirt. And it is a bit damp under here. And as you go down, the stairs sort of like twist around. It's not quite a spiral, but you descend a certain number of feet, and then you turn to your left, and stairs descend further down. And then it turns back to its left, and more stairs go down. And you enter in this kind of like stone hallway. And it goes forward. But after about 5 feet, you kind of like notice a recess to your right. And down about 5 feet within the darkness, you see a door, or it continues to go straight.
Right.
Okay, so wait, can you repeat the last part? Because I don't think I quite understood it.
You're in kind of like a stone corridor. And
Okay.
there's like kind of like soil, on the stone, like, and you can see like footprints, like lots of them within the soil that's on the stone. But to your right, there is a door, another one of those iron banded doors. And then the hallway or corridor continues to go straight in front of you.
Okay, I think we should open the door first, or try to.
Yeah, sure.
You're just like,
After
whatever.
you.
I don't know what to do. I don't think anything that we do at this point is...
Okay, well, yeah. From what we can see down the corridor, can we see if it turns or if it keeps going straight, or like what?
There's a bit that goes, that recesses off to the right. What do we see if we...
You can see about 20 feet ahead of you. It continues to go straight. You can't make out much down that way because, it's, again, fairly dark. But you can see that it continues to go straight. And then you can see it also kind of like splits off to the left as well. And there's some
We can
kind of
end up
like
lost.
massive like structure that sort of divides the two passageways.
Huh.
Why can't we just catch a break?
Yeah.
So, okay, so should we open the door or should we continue down the hallway? Because
I think we should open the door and then see what's there and then potentially move down the hallway.
Okay, because ultimately we just need to find a way out. I mean, anything else, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to get lost down here, do you know what I mean? That would be
Yeah.
bad.
No.
While they're doing this, just in the interim, I'm just gonna go see if there's any parts of the wall that, like, I can sort of weaken on the second and third floors to make our lives easier,
Okay. So,
without bringing the whole place down on top of us.
on the first floor with the kitchen, I'll just let you know, this is the strongest, this is the most structurally sound area. As you go up to the floor above, that is the Great Hall kind of area, there is, this is one of the areas that has kind of like the trees growing through, but it is on the side that is opposite from, the large bonfire of corpses, okay? So it's on the other side, okay? You go up to the Great Hall, and this has an area that is eroded away, kind of like facing the bonfire of corpses, and it has another area, kind of like where the tree is growing through it on the back side of the structure. So it has a very weakened area on the same side as the bonfire. But you are up very close to the top of the tower at this point.
Okay.
Are there
Okay,
any?
so-
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kristen.
I
Yeah.
was gonna ask if the cloak was like making any changes or if it was still pretty consistent with what it was doing before.
If you're continuing to watch it, you can tell that occasionally there will be kind of like a shooting star that goes across it here or there, and then if you watch it very closely, you will see that occasionally the kind of like patterns of the stars will shift. To no constellations that you recognize. It's just kind of as you watch it, they'll go kind of all strange and sort of shift a bit to more unrecognizable constellations. And as you,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you've probably spent the better part of the hour kind of like studying it, and you don't have identify, correct?
No.
Okay, all right. So you haven't quite identified it, but you can, just kind of from your knowledge of the arcane, you can tell that this is obviously some kind of magical item, though you're not sure what properties it possesses. You're fairly certain that, your character knows about things like attunement and stuff like that, and you think that you could probably attune to it, but it wouldn't be like an immediate thing, And even if you did, you're not sure what would happen when you did. So,
Yeah. He just like instinctually puts it on.
okay. All right. So he puts it on and doesn't feel any different. The cloak in its current form is, made for a larger body than his own, But again, as he puts it on, you don't feel any different.
I cannot help but feel like that robe
Is
matches
important.
the patterns outside in the night sky.
That's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Why don't we set it on fire? I can't
No.
say that.
Let's deal with the situation at hand.
Yeah, we
first.
can't say that.
Let's,
All right, let's jump back to Junie and Wallace, and you two think about, or
we're
you
gonna
two,
open
three
the
think
door
about
first.
any other questions. So, Junie, you're going to open the door.
Yeah, I believe that's what we decided.
Give me a dex save.
Okay. 18.
18. Okay. You open the door, and it triggers a collapse of stone from above you, much like you think, would have occurred in the kitchen, But as it does it, you jump back, and you only catch, a couple of stones slam into your shoulder, and you only take 3 points of damage as that happens. It smarts, but you could have been buried beneath the rubble.
Okay. Alrighty.
Right. And once you open the door, and that happens, you can tell it was false. It was treacherous. It was a trick. It's not meant to lead anywhere.
I had a feeling, but okay.
So down the...
Continue down the corridor.
All right. You continue down the corridor for about that 20 feet, and you will come into an area with burial niches. And this is kind of like a catacombs type area. Within
Lovely.
these burial structures, there are the skeletal remains, and they're kind of like they're wearing armor, and they have spears, at their sides, and it's kind of like a full skeleton that will fit within each of these areas. It's not like the catacombs in France, like you might imagine, with just piles of bones and stuff. These are individual structures for specific warriors that had been placed here in Junie. Once again, you recognize these as being warriors from the Root Imperium.
Okay.
So
Can we take the spears off of them?
you could, but there are too many for you to carry.
I mean, I don't want to carry them all. I just
Oh, you just want
don't
to
want them to have it.
Yeah. Well, again, we're
Yeah.
talking, possibly hundreds of skeletons.
Oh, okay.
This is a large area, so
Just
Oh, it's like a full-blown necropolis.
yes,
Okay.
it is.
yeah. Just leave it. Don't touch it,
Junie,
please.
this is bad. We need to be tipped away. We don't want to disturb these guys.
Yeah, no.
All right, and as you're kind of in here as well, the two of you will both notice as you're looking around, in addition to kind of these burial structures with the skeletons in their armor with their spears, there are also kind of wall carvings depicting battle scenes, scenes that at the very least, Junie, you probably recognize being famous battles from, the time period of the Root Imperium,
Okay.
Again, you've probably read this in a book somewhere once before.
Okay. Let's just be very careful. Don't touch anything. Be careful where you step. And don't make anything angry.
Okay. So do you continue? Do you go back the way you came, or you continue on?
Let's keep on.
We need to find a way out, so
All right.
just keep a mental note of how we got in here so we can get back.
So, within these kind of structures, within this kind of like necropolis, as Eric said, there are two ways leading out of here. And you look at both of them, and whereas you've been kind of like in this stone structure, this sort of crypt beneath the tower, it opens up into more natural kind of caverns. So it goes from being stone to just being kind of like, hewn earth,
Good sign.
That is a very good sign.
Okay. Okay. Anything else to make note of?
No, it's just there are two passageways of hewn earth that continue to go further out of the kind of like burial crypt that you're currently in.
Let's go up one each. I'll take that one. You take that one.
Scream if you die.
Okay. Don't really have a choice, but okay.
Okay, we need like a code word, like if we come in anything mental, like so we know that.
Okay. I don't know. Let's go with pineapples again.
Yeah, okay, pineapples, that's fine.
All right, so you each take one of these natural passageways, and you travel it. Junie, you'll take one for approximately 15 feet. Wallace will take one that will stretch for more about 25, 30-ish feet. It'll just kind of like curve around. But ultimately, what will happen is Wallace will come into a room where he'll see Junie standing there. And the room that you're standing in, Junie, I say room, but it's actually a cavern. And in the kind of like middle of this cavern, there's this large pool. And you look down within the pool, and it's really clear water. It's kind of like in the natural surface of this cave, but the water looks like crystal clear. You can see down for a considerable distance before it gets dark. And then within here there is another kind of like natural area leading away, and then there is another kind of like area that goes around this sort of crystal pool and leads out of here. Leads out of the area that you're currently in.
Should we follow that one then?
Oh my god. Okay, but first I'm gonna take out a piece of paper and my ink and quill and draw like a rough map because this is just getting too confusing.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna draw a rough map so we know kind of how to get like how we got in here, the turns that we made.
All right.
So just gonna sketch
That is a
that.
good idea.
Yeah.
All right. So you do that.
And then I don't know what we're next. I don't.
You know how you said there was the other way that kind of like led to another passageway out of it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kind of beckon Junie if I may go up that way.
All right. So you head up that way, and it will curve around 70-ish feet or so, and it'll come into an area where there is, again, it's kind of like a natural area, but this is another kind of like tomb, but it's much smaller. And there's this sort of, bit of stone, and there's a corpse that rests upon the stone, and that corpse is not carrying, but it has a shield placed at its feet, and it has a battle axe that it's holding, with both hands across its chest, and it is also, wearing the mail of the Root Imperium, and there's a kind of like a emblazoned eagle, on the shield, and it just looks like another crypt type area. But out of this crypt is another tunnel.
Junie, you know how you said that we weren't going to get lost?
We're lost.
Yeah.
Along the way, have we been able to feel any kind of inclined to show that we're coming, like we're surfacing at any point, or have we been able to feel any kind of draft?
Yeah,
Is
so
there any indication that we're getting out of here?
as you get into this area with this tunnel that's kind of like leading out of the burial mound, not burial mound, but the burial chamber that you're in right now, this crypt, sort of natural cavern crypt, you do feel a bit of a draft, going down that way.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so I say we follow that.
All right.
I say this is a sign that we can get out of here. I say one of us stays here and the other one goes back and tells the rest of them, and then we meet back here.
So one of us goes forward to see if this is actually the way out, and the other goes back to grab everybody to come here.
Yes, and then we meet here.
Okay, who's going forward, who's going back, if you agree upon that?
I mean, you've got the map, and Faye, what I hear, you're rapid. You, outran an owl bear, mate.
Yeah, I did. Okay, I'll
I've
go
got
back.
wee legs, man.
Okay. How long would you say that it took us? I mean, I know that we were making decisions, but how long would you say that it took us to get to the chamber that we're in?
You were traveling fairly quickly. It would have taken a matter of maybe a couple of minutes, we'll say probably no more than 4 minutes, because you all didn't really stop to look around very much. You just kind of quickly went from place to place. So
okay.
I'm accounting, you could make it faster knowing your way there now.
Yeah,
I'm accounting for some time that you spent kind of like looking around at the areas that you did. So.
Okay. All right. So we will. I will go back, and it should take roughly the same amount of time to get back. So if you're not back here when I get back with the group, oh God. All right. I don't know. Let's just do this. Let's just get the.
If I'm not back, I will. If something bad happens to me, I will leave my apron on the floor, and you know how much that apron means to me, and you know that I would not part ways with that apron.
I completely.
Unless it was bad.
Okay. Yeah. If it goes bad, leave your apron. Okay.
And if not, then just keep following.
Okay. All right.
See you soon, man. I'm gonna be like that, and
Fist bump.
then I'm gonna slap. Yeah. And then I'm gonna continue on.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna go back.
Okay, all right, so you go back. So we'll pause on you, Lewis and Wallace, and then Junie, you'll make your way back without incident, and you will go. Actually, let's jump back to Sir Kay and Toby and Wynn. What's been going on with you all within the last few minutes?
So, question.
Mm-hmm.
Second stupid idea of the night.
Oh God.
Who has the vial with that little piece of ooze?
Toby.
Is there any chance that piece of ooze has grown any bigger to fill the vial?
Probably.
I don't know.
Well, first, I'd ask if Toby still has it, first off, and if they're willing to check it out.
Of course, I still have it.
Do you mind pulling it out so we can check it out, and I might have an idea for it.
Of course. And he pulls out, and I named it Jerry.
Has Jerry grown in the time since it's been in the flask?
All right, so
I hope so.
Toby or Kristen, does Toby take out the flask? All right.
Yeah.
So you pull it out and you look at it, and you've ignored it for the last couple of days. And
No way.
no way? No, he's been looking at it? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
In that case, you would have known
He
the answer.
named it.
He named it? Okay. So you have been observing it, and you would have been able to tell Sir Kay that it has been growing at not at a like an exponential rate, but more like a geometric, like a slow growth, as you take it out, you can tell that this flask that you had, made out of kind of like a thick glass, but this ooze that was in it, has kind of like filled up. And is kind of like applying pressure against the glass so much so that it's kind of like cracked the glass, not so that it's burst open, but so that it is, there's like hairline fractures is what I'm trying to say within the surface of the glass.
Like venom. Okay. Yeah. It looks like he's getting big and strong.
Great. Let's see if he can eat through a wall, shall we?
Oh, yes. I like this kind of experiment.
So... Not the first floor. We're gonna go second floor because I know the floor above it in the area that faces the bonfire is weak. I want to, see if we can use this ooze to weaken the wall in the same way, but on the floor below, so that we can just punch it out if we need to.
Okay. All right. So, which floor is it that you're on?
We were on the floor with the kitchen, so we're gonna go up to the second floor, which doesn't have the weakness where we want it. And we're gonna see if we can create the weakness with the ooze. Okay.
All right then. So, kind of like the way that the wall is, it's not like a flat surface of the wall. There are kind of like these divots that sort of go in, So I'm assuming you're gonna kind of like get it into one of the areas where you think the stone would be the thinnest, or whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
And then just in the general area of that bonfire.
Okay. All right. So, just as a reminder, I'm not sure. Does anybody have a plot point left?
I do.
Who does?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just as a reminder, there's a plot point. You are not beholden to use it at all whatsoever. Like, at a little bit. It's been a while since we've mentioned it, and I do want to remind that that it's there.
I forgot anybody had them.
Yeah, so. As a reminder, there's a plot point. So
Judy would probably come back, find that we're not on the first floor, and then find, me, Win, and Toby on the second floor, just staring at this flask of, black ooze. Just do we really want to do this?
Yeah, so I'm gonna run into where you guys are, and clearly.
This is a stupid idea on top of a stupid idea.
What
It's
are you
brilliant.
talking about doing? Why are you staring at it? What, Sir Kay? What are you doing?
Well, we're going to release the acidic slime that ate through one of my swords earlier on the wall, and see if it'll eat through the wall enough to let us collapse the tower. Seems
I
like
call it
time.
Jerry.
I call this a jerry-rigged plan.
Okay. I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, stupid idea on top of stupid idea, but the bolder the better. Okay, so I think we found a way out. Wallace went to go check.
Oh.
Kind of a stupid idea now that I think about it, but we're here. So, but we came across this room. We felt a draft, and we're just gonna take a leap of faith again.
Sure.
The third one, or whatever, lost count. Yeah.
Great. I immediately walk over and I slam the wall to release the ooze, and I back away quick.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's. Yeah. Okay.
Let's get this place jumping, shall we?
All right. So, we're entirely just going to rule or cool this. All right. So, you slam the flask into the wall. It shatters, explodes. This kind of dark gray ooze that was in there, you can tell immediately begins to corrode the stone. This stone that was fairly structurally sound compared to the rest of the stone structure, but you can see it's just sort of, in this area kind of dissolving away and disintegrating away, and you've chosen an area that you think, not that you're an engineer or anything like that, but you're just trying to, think where, if I were to kind of like knock wall away, might it be catastrophic? So you've kind of like, chosen an area near the corner where you think it might bear more weight or something like that, So you've chosen that area. All right.
I'm gonna swipe an empty potion vial through the ooze. Probably get a little bit on my hand as I do so, and then I'm just gonna chuck that vial at the central pillar, and let that ooze start eating away at the center pillar.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say, all right, give it a couple seconds, and then maybe shoot at it with magic.
Yeah, Toby's just gonna watch and be like, very interesting. Okay, and like taking note.
Okay. Judy's gonna be ready to run.
Yep.
And you guys say the word.
Wynn joins her by the stairs.
Okay. All right. So Wynn goes
Here's
to
the
the
question.
stairs.
Toby is the only person that can deal force damage out of all of us. Can Toby aim at the pillar and the weakened wall from the stairs? Like from the top of the stairs?
I would say one or the other, probably.
No, I mean, you could, I'm looking at the map. When you're standing on the stairs is in a corner. The stairs are in a corner. You could be facing both the pillar and the area that you put the ooze in is on the other side of the room in the corner. So the room is small enough that you could hit both with your force blast. Obviously not at the same time, unless you have more than one blast. But
No.
So how do we want to do this? Do we want to do wall first and then pillar? So like hope the wall starts things tipping and then see if we can shatter out the pillar and let it go the rest of the way?
Yeah, maybe the wall and pillar.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
We're doing this.
On the count of 3.
first things first. Just give me because this is a strike roll, correct?
This is so stupid.
This
Kristen,
is what?
to hit
What?
with your Eldritch Blast, you have to roll a strike roll, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So just give me the roll to see how good of a strike your first one is.
No pressure, Kristen.
Natural 1.
Okay. All right. Give me some flavor on that. What happens when you unleash this first this first Eldritch Blast?
Well, he's wearing this big robe, so he's like not used to like the dangly, like the cuffs like hanging off of his arms, and like tries to like push it back, so he can get his hands out and maybe just like lets one go at the top of the ceiling.
Okay. All right. So everyone else observes this. Toby begins.
Whoops.
And then just kind of like a lot, like an explosion of like stone and debris, just kind of like shower
Toby.
all of you.
Toby. Toby, would you do you want me to hold your robe for you?
I'll just roll up these sleeves. I'm not used to. He like tries to roll them up.
Okay.
Junie's gonna go over and roll them up like you would, like on a child that
Aww.
can't. Yeah.
All right. Now,
I need an adult.
go ahead and give me a secondary roll. This is for the corner that you're attempting to strike.
7.
7. Okay.
This was such a good idea.
Now, we're not going to continue to just roll and roll and roll. I just wanted to see how quickly this happened. But ultimately what happens is, these structures are weak. But, Toby will just have to kind of, continue to conjure this eldritch energy and just, blast away at the wall probably multiple times. And then eventually the stone will just kind of like explode away from the corner. And the tower, the tower that you're in, you can tell, you're just kind of like thrown off your footing. Something is shifted, and it's not a good thing. The tower is not collapsing yet. The center pillar is still there, though weakened somewhat. Toby begins to concentrate his blasts on the kind of load-bearing structure within here. Give me one final roll. Let's just see what happens with this roll.
Oh.
God damn it.
5.
5. Okay.
Ah.
All right. So it's the same kind of thing with the other corner. You know, it doesn't give way immediately, and you know, Toby will just unleash a series of these force blasts that kind of like shake the floor that you're on right now, and then a large chunk of stone will just kind of like explode away from the surface of it, and you'll hear kind of like this grinding of stone and crack, and you can tell
time to go.
that bad things are happening.
It's time to go, guys. Let's go. Come on, follow me now, quickly. Let's go. And just take off down the stairs.
I basically just like I don't even have my weapons out. I just Princess carry Toby and I run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wynn runs down the stairs as well.
Yeah.
All right.
I got my map out, my roughly drawn map, and I'm gonna be like, either keep up or I bid you goodbye.
All right.
See,
So
before they get to me, can I leave my apron on the floor
can you leave your apron on the floor?
and make a stealth check to try and hide from them?
Okay. Well, first.
So mean. Don't do that.
First of all, I want to continue to resolve them now, and then we'll come back to you, Lewis. I promise. So, and then we'll do whatever it is you wanted to do. So, you're beginning to descend the stairs of the tower, and the structure is shaky, and things begin crumbling. All right. Now, what was the order going down the tower?
Junie's first. She's the guy.
First.
All right. So, Junie, you're first.
I'm with Sir K, so whenever he's going.
All right. So,
Wynn
I'm
will
gonna
go
Junie-
second.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably Wynn because she was right beside me.
all right. Well, let's just start with the first person. So, Junie, you're going down these stairs, and just kind of like they sort of rift apart in front of you. You know, just kind of like this, the stone just detaches from the stone, and you hear kind of like the scrape of it sliding against itself, and there's kind of like this open rift that you have to cross. Give me an acrobatics check to maintain your footing and leap.
Oh, it's a 4.
A 4. Okay. Now, as that happens, you jump, but where you place your foot, it gets kind of like caught in this sort of fracture within the stone, and the stone shifts its weight across your leg, your ankle, and you take 8 points of damage.
Oh.
You alive? Awake?
Yeah, I am. Barely.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Now,
I'm hurting, but I'm alive.
everyone else
Going.
sees that happen with Junie, but she quickly pulls her leg out, and you see that it's scraped and bleeding, you know, onto the floor below, but she doesn't stop. She doesn't miss a beat. It's part of the reason why she was damaged so, but you all see this, and you're able to kind of like jump over this area that had pained her. You continue on down from the second floor back down to the area where you first entered. And as you get down there, this kind of like shift that occurred within the structure has basically kind of like part of the stone wall has collapsed across the stairwell that you're in right now, and it's nigh impossible to get past. So someone has got to try to move this out of the way.
I can try.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
So-
does someone else? If someone else wants to take the gnome, I can just shield charge this and see what.
Yeah, I can take Toby.
Okay, I'll help. I'll help with this.
Put
So,
him on my back.
All right.
Like,
So-
just over like a child.
Yeah, I'll make.
No.
I'll put together one of those like baby sling things that you see.
Aw, give me a Bjorn. Aw.
Yeah.
All right, so Win,
Just Yoda, totally.
give me a strength roll.
Okay. 9.
A 9. Okay. All right. So you were trying to just kind of like, brute force it out of the way. I mean, you're trying to summon this rage that you had experienced earlier. Knowing that this adrenaline has the potential to course through your body, but it's not there. It's failing you at the moment. And as you're doing that, the tower kind of shifts again. As you can tell, it's beginning to tumble. You can hear structure outside hitting the ground. This entire thing hasn't fallen yet, but it's falling apart for sure. And from the ceiling, stone collapses as you're trying to do this, shifts once more. You get pegged, kind of like in your back, by stone for 8 points of damage. This massive chunk of stone falls upon you. Now, you weren't able to move it, but it did shift and kind of like collapsed a little bit more that you can step over it. And everyone sees this, and Sir Kay was coming forward to try to do this, but it was just like, happened very, very quickly. And Wen is able to continue to go over. The stone actually kind of like, pushes her, shoves her forward, across this particular area as it collapsed in front. And you're now down kind of like on the surface level floor where you first entered, the area where you can go into the kitchen that had kind of like the false floor leading down. All right. So you make it there. Tower is shaking, crumbling around you. More debris continues to fall. You go down below the surface of the ground. And
I closed the trap door behind us just to give us a little bit of cover.
Okay. All right. You do that. Now, as you continue on down, you kind of go down these stairs that they had kind of experienced. They go down and they go to the left and go down a little further and then curve back to the left once more to where you come into this hallway. Now, in front of you, this kind of collapse that you had triggered earlier, Junie, more of the structure has given away and is, kind of like covering the area. And Sir Kay, you see this in front of you, Junie and Wen have kind of fallen back a little bit. Junie's holding Toby now, and she's a little bit injured. Wen is also injured and kind of had fallen behind. And you see this kind of like collapse in front of you. Now, how would you like to try to take care of that? Because currently it's impassable.
So it's just filled the area in front, right? It's like
not completely, but there's a lot of rubble, in front of you.
Okay. So it's not enough to scale or pass through. I'm going to take out the magic greatsword. Like, I'm going to stow other weapons or anything like that. I'm going to take out the greatsword and just see if I can find a place to wedge it and then, like, get underneath and push up with my shoulder to try and get it to tip kind of away from us into the rest of the hall.
Okay.
Just basically using it like a lever to kind of get the debris to shift and give us enough clearance to kind of go over top of it.
Okay, all right. So this wouldn't necessarily be like a nature check, but let's go ahead and call it nature and give me kind of like this wisdom-based check for...
So that's nothing. Let's do this.
All right.
The 13?
Okay. All right. So, as you're attempting to do it, you kind of like press your greatsword in near the bottom, and you're kind of like angling it forward. And as you do that, you're pressing your weight against it, and it does shift and just kind of like fall out onto the floor in front of you. All right. Leaving a passable area. All right. So, now, You continue on past this sort of area where there were catacombs, debris continuing to fall on your heads from above. And Junie leads you to an area where it goes from being this kind of like stone complex that you've been within to these natural caverns. And this natural cavern kind of leads to an area where there's this kind of like crystalline pool. Only Junie, when you were there before, there was an area that was passable. But you can see that something has happened to this area. Something shifted in whatever these fissures were that have, kind of like filled this pool. Something must have burst open, and it has, kind of like just sort of flooded the area and, left really no trace of how to get out of this complex. And I'm sure that Junie is probably sort of panicking Toby as she's kind of like baby Bjorning you. And she's telling you there was a way here, there was a way to get out. It was over there, but the water is flooded, Toby, how do you think you would like to try to remedy the situation? What can you do skill-wise that you think could possibly help in this situation?
The flooding, or
how to get out of here, or just any way that you think you could use a skill to your advantage in this kind of situation?
I mean, it was kind of cutting in and out for me, so yeah, I don't
So essentially there was a passable area here before, but something happened with kind of like the structure collapsing above that has caused a fissure to sort of burst open and flood the area with water. And the passable area is now not visible. So, if...
This is the room that Wallace and I split up in, right?
No, that's on a little further.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, if you're having a hard time coming up with a particular skill, would you like some suggestions, possibly?
No. I mean, like, I'm just trying to get like a visual or like what the dire situation is like. So I'm being held by Junie, and the whatever burst, and there's water filling into the room. Are we like completely trapped? We can go back out. Are we trying to like go through this rubble, or?
It looks like you could go back the way that you came for sure. But you know that the tower is collapsing above you more than likely. But the idea was to continue going forward in this passageway that Junie had mentioned.
Right. He has mage hand, so he can try to move, carry the rubble a little piece by piece. If they're like small rocks or planks, or he can try to help get the debris out of the way.
Okay, all right. So Toby's looking around, and he is kind of like basically seeing sort of what the problem is. Not only is there a fissure that's kind of like fractured that's flooded the area, but the water is not draining because whatever area this was that Junie was mentioning earlier, there's been a bit of a collapse, and there's rubble kind of like preventing the water from going out of here. So he, cast his mage hand and begins trying to kind of like clear the rubble from the area. Now, let's see. Your warlock, are your spells charisma based, or what are they based in?
Let's see. Yeah.
They're based in charisma?
No.
Yeah. Warlock spells are usually charisma based.
Okay, all right. So the warlock's spell casting ability is charisma. So basically, not that there's a skill to go with this, but you're just kind of like trying to use your mage hand to your advantage. So what I want you to do is give me basically a charisma saving throw check. Okay, so we're kind of like considering your proficiency plus your charisma bonus as well. So roll 1d20 plus proficiency plus your charisma bonus. And you're just trying to use your arcane arts the best you can to sort of like clear this area out.
6.
What was it?
6.
6. Okay. All right. So essentially, kind of like Junie has put you down to sort of let you do your work, and as she does that, you're trying. No one else can really get to it because of the water. They would have to kind of like submerge themselves, and you're much shorter than everyone else, and this water is kind of like pooled up. And as you're doing it, you're working kind of like as hard as you can, and you're just kind of like taking in, big mouthfuls of water as you're kind of like nearly submerged. And essentially you're kind of like, you're at the verge of kind of drowning, as you're doing this. And you manage to clear it, but as you're doing it, you sustain 7 points of damage, from just this activity and inhaling all of this water as you're doing it.
How's everybody looking right now?
Not good.
Very good.
So.
How many of you are below half hit points?
I am. Yeah.
I'm around half.
Okay. So, if that's the case, I'm going to wait for us to find Wallace, if we can, and then I'll use my channel divinity and I'll give us all a little bit of a buffer. So, let's see if we can find Wallace first, because, as well,
All right.
I don't know how much farther we have to go through here.
Now, you all will be able to pass that area, and you'll continue on into this. You'll be making your way towards the area, Junie, where you split up with Wallace. Wallace, let's jump back to you. Junie left you, as per the plan, and she continued back. You continued on forward. All right? And you went down this sort of this natural cavern that's kind of like hewn from the ground around you. And you followed it down. As you're doing it, you can feel this draft that is, kind of like going in the direction that you're traveling right now. And you will kind of like, you'll see bits of cavern that fork off to your left or fork off to your left or fork off to your right. But you ignore those because the current is not quite as strong going that direction. And you will travel, for minutes, ignoring these other bits of direction. And you will eventually get to an area where the cavern kind of like opens up. And as it opens up, you see that there is a complex in front of you. And it's dark. And it's a large complex. But you can kind of tell that this must be some cave system near the surface of a hill or something like that within the woods. But as you're looking into this complex, you see that there are the eyeless within here. And you can kind of tell that this is where they reside. And this tunnel kind of opens up into their complex, and you're certain that one could escape through the hills from here. But there are the eyeless between here and there. And you don't feel like you should go on any further.
Nah, I'm just gonna go back and wait because that would just be stupid to. But then would he do that? Because nah, he's not gonna do that. He's gonna go back.
All right. You go back, and about the time you get back, you will get. As you're coming back into the complex, you will hear rumbles from the ground above you. You're certain that their plan, whatever exactly it was, must be working or going extremely bad, one of the two. But as you get back to the area where you split with Junie, you will see them there waiting for you. And you see that they're all, for the most part, injured and bleeding or coughing up water. They look worse for wear. And they're, sitting there with this measure of hope upon their faces, looking for good news from you. What do you say to them?
Please tell me you found a way out, Alice. Please.
Right. I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. Would you want to hear first?
Let's go with the bad news.
The Eyeless's kind of hideout is just up there. Like where they're coming from. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, please tell me the good news is that we can still get out of here alive.
Yeah, but then there's kind of more bad news to that. We have to go through this complex to kind of get out. Yeah.
So we knocked down the tower to avoid fighting through the Eyeless, only to fight through the Eyeless in their home base.
Pretty much.
Hey, Eric, if you're saying something, I can't hear you at all.
You muted yourself, man.
Muted.
Sorry, I was typing earlier. I mean, we don't have to fight the thing they summoned out of the pile of corpses. Because that all would have gotten crushed.
Unless it's waiting for us if we get out.
I mean, we can take a short rest here, just kind of...
Optimism. We will get out of here.
All right, and I'd say this is a good
Realism.
point. This is a good point to end tonight because we're about 15 minutes till 11. So
yeah,
how about we pick up here next week for our 13th session and probably the last session of our Tier 1 campaign, depending on what happens next week. So we'll pick up here next week. Now before we go, yes.
So I don't forget to do this, I'm just gonna burn my channel divinity. Everybody gets 1d6 plus 3 hit points.
All right, please make note that you did that.
1d6 plus 3.
Yeah, I roll it for you guys.
Okay.
So you're all getting 5 points if you're below half.
Okay.
All right, so you do that.
Look a bit better.
Make note of your channel divinity, and we'll pick up with that next time. So yes, every time, or when we pick up next time, keep track of your current spell slots expended, your lost hit points, everything. Hold on to that between now and then, and we'll pick up here. Your plan as of right now is to kind of try to take a short rest if possible here. So we'll pick up with that next week. Now, before we go for the night, anybody got anything they want to plug or say in leaving? Eric, let's start with you tonight.
Yeah, actually, the podcast I'm a part of, Dice Nights. You can find us on Podbean, podbean.com/Dice Nights, and we're also on Twitter as at Dice_Nights. We just released an episode interviewing the director of World Anvil. Her name's Janet. It was a really great time. We got to talk about World Anvil's new feature updates for players and kind of campaign management, and it was a lot of fun. So that episode went live today. You can also find me on Twitter at Eldritch Crow. You can find me all over the place, especially on Discord nowadays too. So if you want to chat up a storm about world building and stuff, come find me.
Awesome, sir. All right, Jess.
All right. I've been working on my items for my store, which you can find through Twitter at palace_fairy.
All right, excellent. And Lewis.
You can find me on Twitter, DM Nexus. Again, shout out to DM Collective for watching tonight. I'm also pretty active on Discord. If you just want to talk about D&D or whatever, Nexus DM on Discord.
All right. Shondell.
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Shady Valley. I'm slowly back into streaming. I say slowly because work is absolutely crazy hectic right now. I will be up and running in my stream probably in the next couple weeks. So. Yeah.
All right. And Kristen.
Love the apron. You can find me on Twitter, the IT part now. There's the podcast, Monster Lore, D&D podcast called Roll Floor, and that's it.
All right. And as always, I'm RJ Cresswell, the DM of the Tainted Lands Mist of Mournton. I am a teacher and I'm about to begin summer break, so I intend to launch a secondary stream and then probably a one-off for the Stranger Things D&D box set adventure, so I'll be doing those this summer.
That's cool.
Not ready to launch those yet, but they should be coming sometime within the next week or two. So anyway, I'll be doing that, but otherwise I'm on Twitter at RJ_Cresswell. And as always, I enjoyed playing with you all tonight. For anyone who tuned in, Prince Overkill, people from the DM Collective, we appreciate it very much. And I will see y'all next week, same time. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.